aeroplane wreckage, mushroom trade, mysterious past, and blackmail. I'm Game Master in Action, and welcome to the next episode of Biographies. Not far from the Rotten Lake is a wreckage of an aeroplane that now serves as the Air Club bar, a place for trading and information exchange. The mutant who runs it is well known in the zone, and almost everyone who sticks their noses out of the comfort of their ark has had some contacts with him. They call him Burn, although apparently that is not his real name. Some say he started using it when he showed up in our zone. This was several years ago. At the time, that wreckage was inhabited by a small group of mutants. Little is known about them now except that they took Burn in. It seems that he has always had a flair for business and persuaded his new comrades to start trading what they grew in the wreckage, which was some mushrooms. This is how Burn began to make contacts with local folks. Anyone who has ever met him knows that the guy knows how to talk, so it's no surprise that he gained trust pretty quickly, or at least enough not to get shot for hanging around the ark. Maybe it's his charm, innate charisma, or some kind of mutation. I don't know. As time passed, it was noticed that he was moving around the zone with relative ease, so someone came up with the idea of treating him as a courier to arrange exchanges between the arks for a certain fee. And this made Burn's presence in the zone simply convenient, which in a sense gave him immunity. But one autumn he was no longer seen. Some said with sadness that he had left the zone, and others with horror that he had been killed. The doubts were only cleared up by a stalker who was a friend of his. She decided to ask about him in the wreckage of the plane. And this is where it gets interesting. The girl recounted that Burn is in a good health, only severely injured his leg. To some she said that he was attacked by zone rats, and to others that he fell into snares. Either way, he won't be walking around the zone anymore, but that doesn't mean that he won't provide his services. Burn has decided to convert the wreckage into a bar where any mutant will be welcome, as long as they respect its neutrality. It's puzzling that throughout the story, whether told by the stalker or later by Burn himself, there is no information about the fate of the mushroomers. Burn himself said that one time he came back from the zone and they just weren't there. It's worth mentioning here that after the stalker discovered that Burn was alive after all, she returned to the ark quite well equipped, supposedly encountered some zone ghouls who were fighting with each other, and took the opportunity. She never visited Burn again though, nor does she talk about him too much. Could it be that she saw more than she would have liked, and Burn paid her to be silent? Nowadays, the Air Club is a place for trade and information exchange. Burn works with several groups of scouts and sends them on various missions, sometimes to places no one has heard of before, forgotten shelters or warehouses. So, if you're looking for some sort of a job at the Air Club, you're sure to get something. Will it be nice and easy? Probably not, but on the other hand, what in the zone is? How does Burn know about such places? You would have to ask him about that, but I doubt that he would share this information. I do know, however, that from time to time he goes somewhere for a longer expedition, somewhere outside the zone, in the company of 2-3 enforcers, leaving the pup in the care of his apprentice. Where he goes, I do not know, but when he returns, he always knows something new about our zone. Burn undeniably has a good position in the zone. He seems to be a good business partner, but there are those who say that his position is built not on the goods he handled, but on the information with which he blackmails those who are more influential in the zone. How long he will put this way, time will tell. But before anyone gets the idea of messing with him, it's worth thinking about where he gets all this information and where he goes on his mysterious expeditions. Thanks for your attention and see you in the next episode.